Hello Kingdom fans, welcome back to All About Kingdom. I'm so excited to talk about this chapter because if this chapter is an indicator of what is to come, then we are undoubtedly about to embark on what will be the best, most action-packed, drama-filled arc this series has ever made and may ever make. It's been so long since our last new chapter, so I can't wait to get into it. There's so much new and fun information to go and get into, but before I do, I just want to remind you all that if you enjoy the video and the channel, don't forget to give that like button down below a smash, and since you're down there, you may as well drop a comment and click that subscribe button with the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all things Kingdom. So, diving right on into it, this brilliant chapter, rightfully named The Ultimate Formation, we see both leading forces of Zhao and Qin meet so they can discuss their battle plans for the war to come in the spring of the new year. And it is an astounding sight to see, let me tell you. This is undoubtedly going to be the largest battle we have ever seen in the series so far, and while there have been zero solid numbers given, I am more than comfortable enough to bet each side will have minimum 300,000 soldiers. Odds are it's going to be even more than that. And now, starting off with the Zhao roster for this battle, we have all the classic Riboku support cast. We got Bananji, Fute, Shunsuiju, etc, all the other northern Zhao commanders. Then we got the Titan Shibashu making an entrance that only one of the Zhao Great Heavens could make, quite literally towering over everyone else in the room and making their jaw drop to the floor in awe of him, either because of his size, maybe his dashing good looks, and quite possibly even his eyes, because for some reason they remind me of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. All jokes aside though, this dude has got to be minimum 8 feet tall. He could very well be the largest character in all of the series. I don't have a clue how only one horse can carry him. It's hilarious and also absurd at the same time. Anyway, back to it. Shibashu is then accompanied, of course, by his first general Kansaro and a surprise new general, Don Sarai. Now, that's not all. While we don't get a look at Riboku's attack plan, we do get to see him pull his usual magic trick where he seemingly manages to pull a new general out of thin air and even brings back some generals we haven't seen in a very long time. I'm talking about the legendary Rihaku of Defense, who, despite us seeing little clips of him throughout the years, we haven't seen him in action, at least not to my recollection, since the coalition invasion. But even then, he couldn't use his usual tricks because he had to follow Kisha's commands. And I am actually really happy to see our old buddies Kisui and Bate, who I admittedly thought were long dead because we haven't seen them or even heard a mention of them since the end of the Western Zhao invasion. Nonetheless, I am glad they are not dead, because not only does Kisui have potential in him to be a great general, but he also has a massive grudge to settle with the High Shin unit for Kokuyu Hills, but also for Mouten, who completely embarrassed him during the battle at Shukai Plains. But onto the 4 new generals. Like I mentioned earlier, we have Don Sarai, but he is a Sika general, so I can't give credit to Riboku for him. Now, of course, we know nothing about him, but I am willing to bet from the cold, soulless look in his eyes that he is a cold-hearted, sadistic bastard. And then we have the mysterious Rei Juk Wu, and all I'm willing to bet about him is that he comes from the north, but that's mainly because he is on the same page with Riboku's closest commanders, who are all from the north. Well, that, and he has the fur collar going for him, but that's all just pure speculation at this point. And last but certainly not least, we have 2 generals from the Zhao capital that seem to have a certain aura about them. Now, this guy with the forehead tattoo, Ganshu, we know nothing about him, but Shukotsu, we actually know a decent chunk about him despite this being his first appearance. So, after the guardian deity of Kantan, aka Kocho, was defeated by Kanki and Zhao was left without a head of military, in chapter 701, the Zhao court had brought up the name of the hero Shukotsu as a possible replacement because, in case some people do not know or have forgotten, this was during the same time that Riboku was in exile. Anyway, the idea of Chokotsu taking the job was turned down immediately because it was, and to quote, too soon. And there are a lot of ways to interpret this, but the simplest way is that he was just not good enough for the job, despite him having the hero title. And this is presumably the same true Kotsu that we now see in this chapter. But that isn't all we know about him. Now, while this is only a presumption, it is also a logical one. So it is probable that this General Shokotsu is the son of the disgrace of Zhao capital General Shokatsu, who almost immediately lost the battle of Chuhei to Wuki and Hakuki 20 odd years ago after taking command of the army from Renpa, who held them off for 2 years. This Chokatsu fell into a trap set by Wuki, and he was then one-shotted by him. Despite all his big talk, he was an absolute disgrace. And it's because of this that led to the massacre at Chuhei of 400,000 Zhao prisoners of war. Now, if he really is his son, then it prompts the question: is he a skilled general like his father supposedly was? Or will he be one-shotted by Shin with Wuki's glaive, allowing history to repeat itself? And with that being said, we now see Zhao will have a confirmed staggering 15 generals in this battle, with Riboku acting as the supreme commander. And that is not including the likes of other Sika generals or Enkan based in the north, and presumably a few more in the capital Kantan. And so moving on from that horrifying lineup, we move on to the Qin army meeting. But before we get into that, there are 2 panels that, while they are not relevant to the story, I found very interesting. The first being Rukiyomi and Wu Sen standing side by side, and surprisingly Wu Sen is taller than Rukiyomi. I had never thought about it, but at the same time, I find it very weird. Is it just me, or does anyone else think that is weird? I don't know, maybe I'm insane. And the second thing is the final page of the chapter. While the other commanders salute, say, after a bold declaration of victory, Kyokai keeps her arms by her side. Maybe it's Kyokai just being Kyokai and being lazy, but there is always the possibility of a different, deeper meaning. But then again, I may just be overthinking things. Please let me know if you guys have any thoughts on this. Now, I can't read this chapter without being reminded of chapter 497, where Shin, Wuhan, and Mouten returned to Kanyo before the Western Zhao invasion, alongside chapter 671, the reforming of the 6th grade generals. But that is mainly because of the panels. They are borderline identical. We now know for a fact that Rukiyomi has taken over To's army, and with this 6th general lineup, it's almost like we are seeing the new 6th grades. But no disrespect to Rukiyomi, but he is not at the 6th grade general level. Don't get me wrong, he is a magnificent general, or even a magnificent great general, but he is not 6th grades good. My only worry seeing this lineup is the fact that there are so few generals when compared to Zhao. Now, if you include Kyokai and Karyo-ten, that makes 10 to Riboku's 16. Now, I know that each army has their own commanders, like the Gakuka has Aizen, Rukiyomi has Ryukoku and Kanao, and who could forget the fancy new generals of the Wusen army. But still, I'm worried about for some reason. I can't explain why. Maybe it's just paranoia. But on the upside, we do get to see the Qin forces plan their attack, and we can almost see exactly what they predict will happen. Now, if I am right, this city up on top is Kantan, these 2 in the middle are Buzhou and Heiyu, and this at the bottom is IQ. Now, of course, I could be wrong, but if right, then this battlefield will be south of Riboku's Great Wall and be spread across the entire Qinzhou capital area border. And after what we can assume is a very long discussion, Shin seems excited, but also he appears to have a bit of a cold sweat going, which to me implies he has got a seriously major role for this plan. And after his success in Han, who could blame them for giving him such a role? However, what's most disturbing is that Wu Sen, the so-called genius tactician, didn't say a single word through this whole war council, despite all the other commanders giving their input, so it is safe to say that Wu Sen either knows something that we do not, or he intends to ignore the plan and go about his own strategy. But of course, we are reminded in this chapter by Shohai-kun himself that this is only a prediction of what will happen, and The positions are only a general formation. As soon as the battle actually starts, the plan may change entirely, as is the nature of warfare. And now we come to the fun part, and that is of course the battle predictions. Now again, we do not know the scale of the armies, but we do know that Wu Han and the Gyoku were to join the Yotanwa army heading east. Wu Sen has said that it is his army heading to face Riboku, so he will take the western approach, so there may be a force heading up the center to try and topple Riboku's Great Wall. But since that is too random a move, I am guessing that the bulk of Qin's forces will be heading west and they will proceed to spread out. So with Yotanwa and Wu Han heading east, it is safe to assume that they will face off against Shibashu and the Sika army, while Wu Sen will team up with either Mouten or Shin, if not both of them, to take on Riboku. And of course, while the likes of Rukiyomi and his commanders will engage with a separate battle. In my head, I think the best combination would be all four of them combined forces, but again guys, we have to remember these are going to be massive armies involved, which means massive battlefields. There is an insane amount of possibilities of matchups, team-ups, etc, that we could see. We want Mouten to join with someone who has a powerful army and let him be the tactician, because despite having someone like Aizen, the Gakuka army have always been lacking pure raw power. So I know that this is not going to happen, but imagine this: if Mouten teamed up with the Rukiyomi army and he somehow was the commander of all of their forces, with the power of burning Aizen, Kanao the Immortal, Rukiyomi, and presuming that the Rukiyomi army got Yoko as a commander, you throw in Yoko into that mix, and then they had the backup of Ryukoku, the support king, to cover for any possible flaws in Mouten's plans. That would be a Qin 6th Great General caliber army right away. Or even if he got to team up with Yotanwa and she let him take command of some mountain tribe units. Of course, the Wu Sen may want Mouten because he knows his skill and potential, but again guys, I ramble on. I could go on for an hour on just Mouten and his possible team-ups, not to mention the people he should go up against, such as Kisui and Bananji. And yes, I am focusing a bit more on the likes of Mouten, but that is because we so rarely get to see him and his strategic genius in action. Now I understand Yasuhi Sahara avoiding him if he can, because it is harder to write for a tactician's battles, while if he writes for Shin's battles, he can just make him swing his mighty glaive and throw in a tactic here and there, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic, it's the best, we all love it, that's why we're here, that's why we read Kingdom, we think Shin is a fantastic protagonist. However, I want to say we just finished a phenomenal arc focused on Shin and the Rukiyomi armies, so I think we are well deserving and well overdue for some chapters where we can see the mountain tribes, Mouten, and Wu Sen's new commanders in some serious and well detailed action. So anyway, Kingdom fans, I hope you have all liked this video, and don't forget to drop a comment on what you guys think about these ferocious lineups and what you all want to see happen. I know we all got 1,000 thoughts on our heads, and I genuinely want to hear them all. And until we meet again, don't forget to smash that like button down below, click that subscribe button with the notification bell so you can stay up to date with the channel, because we are about to head into what is possibly the greatest arc in the entire series, and I know you won't want to miss any of the action.